I think it's a penalty. I would question whether it was the other way round, whether Siebert would give it to PSG, but he's saying it's not clear and obvious, right?
Yeah. If it had been given, they wouldn't have overturned it.
I think we scored a little bit too early. You know.
Of course, when there is that more hop, skip, jump technique, it does feel a little bit more frustrating to see it go wide. We conceded the penalty, and he didn't make one save. That's the most frustrating about this whole final.
We'll get that Champions League one day. I've never been more convinced that we can win a Champions League after that final.
And I kind of see it as a rite of passage as well. Bayern Munich 2010 lost the final. They lost again 2 years later before they eventually won it. Liverpool had to lose, Chelsea had to lose, City had to lose. It feels like it does. It just feels like you have to taste that experience.
Yeah. There is one player that is a senior player that could go. It's Martin Odegaard.
Breaking news! We could go on and we could be I've said it before, the greatest team that Arsenal ever had. We are the champions.
Hello, I'm Nick Bright and welcome to Inside Gooners, bringing you all the latest news from the champions. And joining me for the last show of the season, we've got a bumper panel. We've got Perry Groves, we've got Adrian Clarke, we've got Deluded Gooner, and we've got James Bayliss. And I'm delighted to say this show is sponsored by BetMGM. Download the app or visit betmgm.co.uk, 18+, gambleaware.org, and please gamble responsibly. Right, Perry, we'll start with you.
Can I just have a message?
Right, go on.
Just a message to all the Gooner haters out there, all the ne'er-do-wells, the naysayers, Gobiak Bonglahor, Jason Clumsy, Troy Meany, you know all who you are, right? I'd just like to say a massive, massive thank you for all the hatred that you put our way. Because of you, you have made our club stronger, from the players to the fans to the staff to the coaching staff, the strongest bond that it's ever had. So thank you for your contributions, for making us the Premier League champions, and please, please, please keep it coming. Thank you.
Well said, Perry. Yeah, because I think we should just address the fact that, you know, you had to deal with quite a lot of pelters on Saturday. You did the preview show, which I came on with you for, and we were all kind of geared up, hopefully, for an Arsenal win. It didn't go our way, but then you had to go on with Gabi Aboglahor and Jason Cundy. So well done just for being brave enough to step up.
Yeah, the thing is, you have to, it's all right going on. And by the way, all of us here are what I call it the Gooner grin now. Because I know when there's Arsenal fans, even if they've got not tops on, because quite rightly, there's that Gooner grin that they've got and that little spring in their step, which is great. I've been on the shows where we've done well. You know, I've been able to, not gloat, but, you know, put our case forward, and then you have to put your 10 out on. And I knew it was coming. I knew they were both off their long run-ups and like both barrels. So again, like our team has done all season, you have to stand up and you have to face it. And that's what we've done.
Yeah. Clarke, great scenes yesterday, mate. You know, North London. I mean, London is red, let's be honest.
Yeah, look, it was massive. I mean, I knew Arsenal were a big club, but I don't think even I realised how big we were until maybe yesterday. I mean, that was an incredible turnout. I think the rest of the country, fans of other clubs, particularly London clubs, are just insanely jealous right now of what we've got. I know that we've just lost the Champions League final, but as Perry said, the connection between the players, the manager and the supporters has never been stronger, ever. I remember feeling really jealous when Leicester went and won the league, and then they won the FA Cup, because they had that at that time. And I thought, and at that period, you know, only going back 10 years, less so when they won the FA Cup, we were nowhere near it. You know, we were fractured as a club. But now, thanks to the team, thanks to the manager and what he's built, look, we are a big, huge family, and I think this is just the start. I genuinely do. I know it's easy to say that, but I really feel confident that this group of players will take us to more cup finals, more trophies, and that parades might become more commonplace.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. CJ, you were in amongst it yesterday. How did you... You look like you were enjoying yourself, what I saw on your social media.
There it is, Gooner grin, Perry. I mean, how can I not enjoy it? My big thing was, especially after we didn't win the Champions League, we can't let that discourage us. We've ended 22 years without winning the Premier League, bro, and to be at Finsbury Park, to be at Holloway, to be at all the surrounding areas, to see fans young and old, this is what we want. Like, we've ended our trophy drought for the Premier League, And we're getting mocked by losing on penalties against the best European side there is at this moment in time. If that's what they're going to mock us about, that just seems like sour grapes. A lot of Arsenal, non-Arsenal fans, apologies, have wanted to just kick us in the teeth all season. They say we're boring, but they've watched every game. And this is all they can have to say. They can see the connection, as we've alluded to, with the fans and the players. They can see this team's on the rise. If there's one thing we learned from is our failures. We didn't win the Champions League. You can see our trajectory. It's scary next season. Forget with the Premier League. I know we're going to retain that. Please don't let us win the biggest, because it's looking more realistic than it ever has.
It's unbearable.
Yeah. Unbearable. We're unbearable.
The unbearables.
I'm on that. I'm on that. Let's do that.
That's who we are. James, you didn't get to go to the parade yesterday because you were at someone's wedding. I mean, I would have...
James,
I know.
Hey, what's happening?
You're a real friend.
Look, I was at the Emirates party the day of the trophy lift, and I thought, I can't do that to my mate. Very good mate of mine. So they had a great
Must
wedding.
have been a free bar.
He was,
He's still got his band on.
How did you know? He's actually an Arsenal fan too. So to be fair, I think he had a great day. But I'm sure he was also thinking about the parade. But no, it was a special day. But I don't know about you guys. I'm hurt.
Yeah.
Only the Premier League.
Yeah. I don't know.
We should just...
Worst champions ever. Not statistically true in any way, shape or form, by the way, but worst champions ever. Only 2 finals, only 63 games played, only the most wins, I think, in a single season.
Only won it by 7 points.
Yeah. Only won it by 7 points. Only 1 million fans at the parade.
Do you know what, guys? I think...
this is tough, you know.
I think we should just cancel the show.
It's really tough.
I think we should say sorry.
We need to do a breakdown of what went wrong. What went wrong this season? Yeah.
You know, you're talking about the parade, right? That would have blown the players' mind. Honestly, like, whether you say it's 500,000, 700, or whatever it is, they would have not had the... They know that it's a big club, right? They would have not had that comprehension of everybody coming out. And it's not just it's from all around the world.
Yeah.
I got the train yesterday from Colchester at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I'm a massive Gooner, right? I'm on the train, and the whole train was full of Arsenal fans. The whole... And I'm like, whoa, it blew me away. So when they're going round, that would make them tingle, right? The thing that I looked at it wasn't a bus break. It was 4 double-decker buses. When I did it, it was 1 bus, you know what I mean? So now you got like 4. And when I'm talking about buses... To Alex Ferguson as well, who's had a little message to the owner of PSG about you deserve to win, Arsenal are boring, like parking the bus. Right. Wind your neck. I saw Man United park the bus, not a bus, it was a bus park, wasn't it? It was a bus depot at the Emirates when Wayne Rooney played as a left winger and he went 4-5-1 to stop Bakary Sagna coming through. So he should know better as well. He should know that you have to try and find ways to win games. So even that, you think, we're in Alex Ferguson's head.
Yeah.
That blows my mind. You mean, calm yourself down. It's nothing to do with you.
They become stupid when it's Arsenal, unfortunately.
Embarrassing. Right, we should talk about the game. You know, Clarke, I'll come to you. It wasn't to be, but it was a defensive masterclass. It's what we have come to expect from this Arsenal side. I thought Gabriel and Saliba were great. Mascara was really good as well, but just a momentary lapse in concentration, and that's what can happen.
There was no complaints at all about the game plan. I think it was the only way to really go about it against this PSG team. If we'd have gone attack-minded, they would have opened us up. They would have won the game. I never felt at any stage in the final that they were scoring open play, and that's what makes it so hard to swallow, because it's just the one mistake we make for a little 1-2. Mascara takes his eye off the ball, gets himself into a bad position, and then jumps into attack he doesn't have to make because Hincapie's there on the cover. There's a bit of an angle there for Kvaratskhelia. So one mistake, and that has stopped us winning that final by a 0-0, which would have been so fitting, wouldn't it?
Perfect.
Would I have liked us to have had more possession? 100%, yeah. Well, not 100% possession. But, a little bit. Would I like to make more passes? Of course. Would I like to have been higher up the pitch? Definitely. I think that's the next phase for us. I just think at the moment... if I had one criticism, it would be that we could have looked after the ball better. We could have been a bit more confident in possession to just pop the ball around a bit. But that's the next phase. And I think that this time next year, you'll see a very different
That's the thing we didn't in the first half. We were probably just about 8 to 10 yards, a little bit too deep. Yeah. And then we never had passage play where we put 8, 10 passes together. Do you know what I mean? Just to put more jeopardy on PSG and make them work a little bit harder, because towards the end of the first half, you could tell there's a bit of frustration just sort of creeping. I thought Odegaard gave the ball away too cheaply, Trossard as well. Lewis Skelly was really good in the first half.
Amazing first
and Havertz was as well. You know what I mean? In the attacking area,
he was.
Havertz held it up, but. That's the fight. You're talking like at elite level. That's the fine margins.
Quick stat. I'd like us to have a little bit more trust in each other on the ball, and you know, Odegaard, I wanted him to give it to me. You know, he was not hiding, but he just
take
didn't,
3 or 4 touches.
He didn't dominate the game. It's hard to dominate the game when we don't have that ball. But I'd like him to have a bit more. Lewis Skelly, I thought was great. I thought he really stepped up. He only actually made 15 passes, right? So if we can get Lewis Skelly to get 50 passes, the match looks different. He made 15. Coutinho made 150.
That's the difference.
Yeah, that's the difference. And hopefully, when we're back on that big stage again, we'll be ready to get our midfielders on the ball to make a high frequency.
On that 115 Coutinho, right? Coutinho was nowhere near as dominant as what he normally... I know he had those passes, but if you looked at him and you then dissected it, a big percentage of that would have been sideways and going nowhere. Do you know what I mean? So they negated all the threat, like Kvaratskhelia was probably the worst game he's had all season. Dembele was anomalous, although those two contributed to their goal. Doué was poor and Capio. So we stretched them. Do you know what I mean? We put them to the maximum.
To show we can compete.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, the rotations from their team to try and find the solutions. At one point, I saw Doué and Kvaratskhelia, they didn't switch wings. They just doubled up on one wing. And then Fabian Ruiz was pulling wide the whole time. And I kept thinking, fair play to Arsenal for being disciplined here, because you can just try and follow them all over the pitch.
Well, that's what you wanted, Perry. We spoke about this.
I said I wanted the back four, and the centre halves not to go like tracking in.
Trouble against PSG.
And defensively, we mentioned work, but everybody worked their socks off defensively in the 4-4-2 shape, with Saka obviously doubling up one side, Trossard the other. And we'll talk about the second half, but it's just fine. And that's what happens at elite level.
Slow them down. And that's what you have to do.
But game state comes into play as well, doesn't it, CJ? Just in terms of like the stats that we've been talking about there, you know, PSG having all the possession, all the passes. It's because we scored after 6 minutes. And when you're the best defence in Europe, not just the best defence in the Premier League, the best defence in Europe, you're going to say, right, break us down. And to be fair, until they got the penalty, they didn't.
As the lads have said, until the penalty, and that changes the game, they didn't. We were so close to having a 1-0 victory and winning the Champions League, and for obvious reasons, that would have been amazing. It would have been naive of us. Of course, as everybody has said, I would love to have held on to the ball a lot more, attacked a lot better, but it would have been suicidal against PSG. They're a better attacking side than us. We took this thing out of the game. We took the tempo out of the game. We said, come and break us down, something we've been great at for years. We started frustrating them. Mosquera had a decent game, but this is the fine margins and the small margins that you're going to have to learn from as a 21-year-old. He's made a mistake. He's opened up the door. We've taken it to extra time. And then when it gets to penalties, it's the luck of the draw. But there's so many positives this season and in our European run, much less the final, that we can take moving forward. And it's all about a learning curve for the players to be there, to see what it takes, to see how games can go left. It's just one of those things. I would say the referee done us a bit dirty, because I do think that last minute in that first half, if we got that corner, I genuinely think we score and it's 2-0, but that's all with some buts, man. But we competed and done the thing. No.
I mean, he went all Clive Thomas. It's before your time, isn't it?
No,
definitely before my time.
It's not just the core. I mean, genuine question, you know, and it's hard to have a discussion about a referee's performance when your team has lost, because people will say you're being bitter, people will say you're blaming the referee, and I'm not blaming the referee, but I feel like there were quite a few decisions, Clarke, that they were 50-50 decisions and they seemed to go to PSG.
Yeah, I think for 45 minutes he refereed really well, and then that was a bit of a bizarre thing to call half-time before he took the corner, because he hadn't really had a chance to get over there and take it. But yeah, from half-time onwards, he reffed the game differently. Every 50-50 went to PSG. We couldn't get out because yes, you could say Havertz needs to be stronger, or Gyökeres needs to be stronger, but at the same time, he gave it every time. He didn't give it for us when Havertz got knocked over, and he gave it to them every single time. And that just knocked our momentum a little bit. That said, do you know what? Over those two big calls, I can't get angry about them. I think the Mosquera one, even though he gets the ball, it is a pen. And the Madueke one, he does lock his arm in and kind of half pulls him over, in my opinion.
But Clarke, you played, right?
Yeah.
In that moment, right, when you're running that fast, he isn't thinking, what he's trying to do, he's trying to put his arm across.
Yeah.
So you stop then him getting to the ball. So as he's got his arm, then they've linked. And I didn't hear any of the other pundits say, the giveaway is, when they both go to the floor, The first thing Mendes does is, as he's on the floor, he goes, bash, and his eyes go straight to the referee, and he looks as if to say, I'm in trouble here, and then he gives it not a penalty. That's a sign that he thinks it's going to be a penalty. Now, I think it's a penalty. I would question whether it was the other way round, whether Siebert would give it to PSG, but he's saying it's not clear and obvious, right? Which I get, but
it wouldn't have been overturned. If it had been given, they wouldn't have overturned it. But I can look at that one both ways. I'm not completely outraged by it.
What surprised me was just how emphatically and quickly the referee decided it wasn't a penalty. It looked in real time. Obviously, we're watching it on the telly. We're not there, but in real time, it looked like there was a decision to be made, and he just straight away said no penalty, and that surprised me a little bit.
It would surprise everyone, especially because he's given a penalty already. I think there's a lot of minor decisions that are going, against us and probably for us. People will bring up the Saka moment as well. I just don't think the referee in that second half wanted to make it about him, and indirectly he has. That's why we're having this discussion. But I don't want to be that Arsenal fan that's just talking about the referees, because I do think we had enough to do better, and I think we were just quite unfortunate.
Okay, just for balance then, James.
But we should have a pen.
Do you think the Saka, we got lucky with the Saka one, or?
I think he got the biggest... I agree he didn't referee the game well, but I think he got the biggest ones right. I'm with Adrian that I think, but like you said, you guys have played the game and understand it better, but I thought there was as much Madueke as there was Mendes. I think the foul might have actually been outside the box, or maybe a clash of legs just before. And I thought the Saka one, for me, that's never a penalty. He swung at it and he's missed it and it's kind of bounced off. I don't want to say...
UEFA land, though.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. But now everybody's got their minds clouded, right? People know football. It's proximity, it's ricochet.
Yeah.
He hasn't had, two movements.
What's he meant to do?
But because you said there, because it's in the Champions League, everybody went, oh.
Yeah. I just think a penalty is almost always a goal, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I know we shouldn't referee the penalty box differently to the rest of the pitch. But if you're going to give a goal for that, essentially, I can't... Yeah,
That's why I've long been advocating for a penalty spot to be taken back a few yards. No, genuinely.
Some of Clarke's...
I love it.
Go on.
That's a new one.
Clarke, did you watch the penalty shootout? Really? The other thing we talked about the referee, right? Mosquera, normally you get booked for that challenge.
Yeah.
Normally,
Yeah,
right?
true.
But because he booked him for time wasting in the 46th minute, for a throw-in, in his head, the referee's thinking, I can't be booking him, because if I send him off, I'm going to get slaughtered for affecting the game, for giving a ridiculous booking for time. Do you know what I mean? So
Everyone knows your name now.
When you book someone that early in a massive game, it puts you under pressure.
Exactly.
So all the PSG fans, quite rightly, would have gone, he should be booked, yellow card and sent off. But he didn't do it because of what he did in the...
I think our card's been marked. I've got to be honest. I think now people just expect it of us that we slow the game down, we take too long over throws and corners.
Facts.
We're going to have to change it next year. We're going to have to be a little bit cuter and maybe just do the opposite. Make people forget about this, because I think officials are going to come after us, big time, especially on corners and stuff as well. So we're going to have to come up with some new plans that maybe don't involve as many of these.
You know what you do?
moments.
We've started to introduce short corners.
Yeah.
Just take them quickly.
Yeah.
Just again, you can mix that. If you take a percentage quick and then you slow it down, then the
don't know
referee
what
ain't
to
going
expect.
to...
I do just find it extraordinary that in a game in which they had water breaks because of the heat and the occasion, the referee wants us to rush a corner at the end of the first half. When we finally got up the pitch. It's like, can we use some common sense?
And you've given it.
Also, if we're time wasting, then you pull out the yellow card. You don't just say, actually, I don't fancy playing the last 20 seconds. That was weird, but anyway.
But that was also the referee going, it's about me. I'm in
Wow.
control here. That's what it's about.
Yep.
It's really frustrating, because obviously we know how dangerous we are from set pieces and from
That was our first corner, wasn't it?
And you know...
Weren't they 10-0 up on corners?
Yeah,
at
it
one
was...
point? I mean, but that's the thing about, could we have gone a bit higher up the pitch? Could we have looked after it better? Because then we would have won more corners and we would have got into those areas. Because actually I felt that every time we did get in their area or in and around it, we actually did carry it out. I didn't think they were amazing at the back.
But do you think, you know, and this is what I think, but you can give me your opinion, Clarke. It's a more respected opinion than mine, but
everybody's opinion is valid.
Cheers, Perry.
Everyone.
I think we scored a little bit too early. You know, come on. If
you need a moment, you need a moment.
It's never a bad time to score.
No, it was a great goal and a really good. We should talk about Havertz's finish, but I think just in terms of like holding out and seeing off the best attack in Europe, if we'd have scored, say, just before half time, just after half time, I think we definitely go on to win the game.
Yeah, because of the game state, we ended up going a little bit even more defensive than probably we would have done. With a goal, it's the perfect example of why having a false nine or using Havertz as a false nine is a real asset. Because if you look back at the goal, he comes into midfield to get the ball. And what happens there is Marquinhos is keen. He comes and follows. No, was it Pacho? No, it was Pacho. It was Pacho. He's really keen, and he comes with him into midfield. Pops off to Hincapié, goes up the line, and then he makes that run from deep, where basically Pacho isn't in his position. The ricochet goes our way, and he's in. And the other big chance that he had, where Marquinhos made an unbelievable. That for me was the defining moment in the game.
I thought that was. An easier chance than the one that he scored.
Yeah. Well, what happened was, he's really deep. He's out on the right wing. We moved the ball into Mascara into Odegaard, and he makes this unbelievable sort of arced run, Havertz, from deep again. No one's picked him up, and he's in. But the touch, I'd say, is a fraction heavy, and it allows Marquinhos to get across and make that block. But I think if that touch is a touch softer, he doesn't get there, and we probably go 2-0 up, and then it really is game over. They're not coming back from that. So yeah, look, we were so close. It's unreal.
Yeah, I mean, when Havertz put that into, I thought he missed. Firstly,
I thought he got inside netting. Yeah, when you watch it, you're like, and you think, oh my God, he's it. And I mentioned about the drop off from Safanov, Donnarumma to Safanov. Donnarumma saves that. Because if you look again from goalkeeper's point of view, his hands are down here. So even if you're at the near post, your hand should be I'm not a goal, but I know your hand should be there. So you can go there or you can go there. Do you know what I mean? It ends up going past his head, and you think, mate, you haven't even moved your hands.
Brilliant finish. It was delirium in the pub I was in. You know, I don't know where you guys were watching it, but yeah, there was pints all over the place, which was very enjoyable. But it wasn't to be. Let's talk about the shootout then. I guess that's where we need to go. What did you make of the 5 penalty takers? Who wants to take that?
Go on, Joe.
Look, who am I to tell Eberechi how to strike a football? Like, if it's his style, you know, I can't imagine the instruction is ever, listen, we're about to go into a massive shootout, the world's watching, can you please do this? They're going to say, take it how you always take it. Do what you always do and just, you know, feel it in the moment. But, of course, when there is that more hop, skip, jump technique, it does feel a little bit more frustrating to see it go wide. It feels a little bit... But like I said, he will have done that for a reason, because that's how he feels. He's waiting for the goalkeeper to move. Sometimes the goalkeeper didn't move. Yeah. So then he's trying to really find the corner and he drags it wide.
It's very frustrating, though, isn't it? Like, that their keeper didn't make a save in the shootout and we lost the shootout.
We conceded the penalty and he didn't make one save. That's the most frustrating thing about this whole final, is there's an element of, here you go. And I know we played better than that, but it just...
We didn't lose in the whole competition.
Yeah,
we didn't win it.
And that'll never happen again. Yeah. That will never happen again.
And we were behind for 44 minutes. We were behind in the whole competition.
Exactly, yeah.
43 minutes. Yeah. In the entire Champions League, we trailed for 43 minutes, which is... And we didn't win. It wasn't meant to be. But on that, I think... Eze won't do that technique again. I'm pretty sure.
The thing is, what happens is, when he's starting, you put yourself under more pressure if you miss. Do you know what I mean? And also, like, there's this big pile-on about Gabriel, centre-half, taking the 5th penalty. And I've said, Clarke has been involved in penalty, whatever. In the old days, right, my era, you didn't practice penalties that much, really, to be honest, did you? Like, Mark Quinn used to go and goal and you try and take a tenner off him, and if you score 3 out of 3, right? But so then at the end of a game, the manager would say, right, who fancies penalties? Yeah. And you'd have loads of players looking at their shin pads and honestly looking at their laces and going, my calf, he's going, oh, Gaff, right, not making eye contact.
Don't pick me.
So then you have to... This day, they analyse it and they go through it to such fine detail. All week, they'd have been taking penalties. 100%. The analysts would have been, like, taken all notes, whatever, he'd have had a plan A of his 5 top penalty takers.
Half of them were off.
Obviously, Saka's off, Havertz is off, Odegaard's off. Then they have a plan B. And at the end of that extra time, Arteta would have gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He would have chosen who's taking the penalties. It's not Gabriel going, well, I want the 5th one.
Well, that's what
I know he wants the 5th one, but Arteta would have gone,
He said that he wanted
during the
it.
week.
Yeah, I mean, I commentated on the game and I looked at the commentator Dan Roebuck and I was like, I just did that. I just was like,
It was unexpected.
I didn't expect
Did you do that
him
with
to take the
Martinelli as
5th.
well?
No, because I just didn't expect Gabriel to be on the 5th one.
I was scared with Martinelli.
I'm scared on every single penalty.
On penalty shootouts, right?
enough, you know.
The reason why actually Gabriel would have been an advantage is that no one would have seen Gabriel take a pen before, right? Ezra's taken loads of pens before, and that's the reason I was really surprised he went with the same technique because goalies these days have got so much info that they know. And
Ezra's been told not to commit himself.
Safanov's been told, and for that reason, if I was Ezra, I'd have just gone up to the ball and absolutely lashed it and done something completely different because goalies have so much more information these days.
Interesting.
So that I think is maybe the next evolution of penalties. Outfielders need to maybe think outside the box and think, well, what do they think I'm going to do? I'm not going to do
Double bluff.
David Raya will be taking them next season. Be fine. But there could be, I'll float this one out for you guys, shades of Liverpool 2018, wasn't it? In terms they lost the final, then the following season they won the final. We've now...
Yeah, but they had Tottenham in the final, didn't they? They were always going to win that one.
Yeah, I mean, true.
And it was a definite...
I love that one.
But you know, we've gone, what is it, quarters, semi, final...
The trajectory is it's self-explanatory, isn't it? Since Mikel Arteta has managed in the Champions League again, you see the progress. Now, every year we're going to talk about the PSGs, the Real Madrids, the big European powerhouses as favourites. We've earned the right to be, we're not where they are, but we've earned the right to be in that competition. We've shown we can compete. As we've just alluded to, technically we haven't lost a game and we still haven't won the competition. So I think it'd be scary for non-Arsenal fans. You've got to be filled with optimism that if we take what we're good at and make it great, address the areas of improvements, learn from these learning curves, we'll get that Champions League one day. I've never been more convinced that we can win a Champions League after that that final.
You know what happened is it will drive the players on. Yeah. Honestly, they've experienced it,
Proud of
experienced
them.
the final. They will have that, obviously, the disappointment and the hurt which you have to go through. But then after the hurt comes hunger. After the hurt comes, we've got to push on, we've got to go another one. And on Gabriel missing that penalty, not that you want players to miss penalties, but I'd rather that he missed it than someone like Zubimendi or someone like Madueke, because Arsenal fans, as soon as he missed it, he was forgiven because of how brilliant he's been and the character that he is.
Everything he's done for us.
It's unfair, but you get judged differently, and the reaction would have been different. So for him to miss it, with the stature that he has, you know what I mean? I'd rather that he missed it because he's forgiven, straight away.
The guy will now be behind the scenes, obsessed with winning that Champions League now.
Yeah.
So bad.
That will be so in his head now, in a good way. And he'll just, this team take things personally. They see what's said behind the scenes. They see the experiences. I mean, how many teams can finish second 3 years in a row and go again? So they'll use this in a really good way. And I kind of see it as a rite of passage as well. Bayern Munich, 2010, lost the final. They lost again 2 years later before they eventually won it. Liverpool had to lose. Chelsea had to lose. City had to lose. It feels like... It does. It just feels like you have to taste that experience. And I look back at Liverpool, and I know we talk about this being a big era for Man City, but Liverpool have had a great 10 years. They've played in 3 Champions League finals. They've won 2 Premier Leagues. Not one of those Champions League finals came in a year in which they won the Premier League. So it's so difficult to do what we've done. 63 games, get over the line in the league, and then try and get it done in the Champions League. I think only City and United in the modern version of the European Cup have managed to lift both in the same season.
Do you know what I think as well? Like, it's a massive difference winning the Premier League and playing in the Premier League than winning La Liga, Ligue 1 and playing in Ligue 1. Because there was a stat that both teams over the last 2 years have played 121 games, right? But then you look at players like Dembele, he played 11 Ligue 1 games. I think Marquinhos hardly ever played, did he? No. He played basically the Champions League. Yeah. And even the players that play in Ligue 1, week in, week out, they can play at most games 70, 80% and sort of save a little bit of energy. Do you know what I mean? So the Premier League, and can I just say, the narrative about the Premier League not being as strong as what it has been in previous years. The middle tier of the Premier League is the strongest it's ever been. If you look at the Bournemouths, the Brentfords, the Brightons, even Palace, when they're at it, no team's ever going to win the Premier League now on 95, 96 points. It's not happening.
I also think it's worth mentioning again, without trying to sound like I'm bitter. It's hard.
You're allowed. You've had
It's
a season.
hard.
We've had 22 years.
I think there's a wider discussion to be had on what I think is a travesty in that Ligue 1 are just allowed to, well, PSG are allowed to go to Ligue 1 and say, can we just suspend our fixtures for, you know, a month? And one of those games was against Lens, who were going for the title against PSG. Lens didn't want to, you know, postpone the fixture. They were allowed to postpone the fixtures around those semi-finals. And, you know, their first teamers hardly play in that league. You know, I think, you know, that's...
It makes it even sweeter when you overcome those teams, though. You know, you go against the odds. It's, you know, we were still a penalty kick away. You know, or you know, literally a penalty kick with the foul from Mascara. So.
We were a penalty kick and one game at Wembley away from a treble.
I wouldn't mind the Premier League being a bit more accommodating to teams, but it's not going to happen.
The TV. They rule. The TV companies rule. What's the Premier League? 5.6 billion. What they paid for the rights. Yeah. Not being funny. Ligue 1. Yeah. Unless you're watching, no one really cares about watching them on
my thing
TV.
Isn't
Premier League's around the world, isn't it?
My thing isn't necessarily that the Premier League should give, although I agree with Clarke, it would be good for, you know, for our teams to get a rest if they're in that position, but it's not going to happen for the reasons that you've just said, Perry. But my thing is that Ligue 1, UEFA should step in and not allow that, you know, unless everyone's on the same footing.
Well, the PSG ownership was pretty tight with UEFA. Yeah.
Well, that is also another thing, you know.
Conspiracy theory just thrown in.
Everybody's celebrating a team that's state owned by a country that's got its own problems, which we don't need to discuss
here. But we've overcome
here.
City. We will overcome.
Do you know what it is?
PSG.
It's controlling what we can control. Other stuff, don't even waste the energy. You know what I mean? Exactly, it's out of your control. You just go for what you can.
So glad you said that, Perry, because the things we can control are maybe not every game we're only 1 or 2 goals up. You know, it's little things like that. Now, we've done an amazing job in the Premier League, but I feel like every game we play the full 90 minutes. Be great if we've got it a few more games won by the 60th. Yeah. Be great if... we a little bit of luck on the injuries. I think it's gone under the radar because we won the league. That we've had spells of Saliba out missing big games. The morning of the game at Stamford Bridge, he's not available. Gabriel missed a month. Saka missed a month. You know, very rarely do Premier League title winners not have like a consistent 8 or 9 players out every week, and we've had to constantly chop and change. When you do have that 8 or 9, you get momentum. When you I've not spoken to him. When you listen to people like Kevin De Bruyne, he'll tell you that actually winning the treble, they just had momentum in the legs. They felt good, so they kept going despite playing all those games. So, like Perry said, control the controllables, and I think in the market we're going to address that.
And we have to big up Arteta, man. He's gone to war with Pep Guardiola and Luis Enrique. We've got the best of the rest of in terms of a manager.
The other thing as well is you can't underestimate the 22 years of desperation. 22 years of that desperation, not just the building up and building up and building up and coming second 3 times and having the having the bottle job, whatever, right? The players feel that. Trust me, we saw in the Bournemouth game. They were nervous. They had anxiety. So that... After the Man City game, where we were virtually faultless, like 3-1 nils, wasn't it? 1-5, conceding 1 goal. And even then, like, again, it'd be go 1-0 up and go for it. But because you are in when you're playing, you are so desperate to make sure that you win that game. Even if Arteta says, push a bit further up the pitch, play a little bit freer, your mindset isn't like that. This group of players now, because we've won the...
mental relief.
For the 14th time, like, top flight title, they'll all calm down. Trust me, you will see them go maybe another 5-10%, where in games, if it's a little bit tight, a little bit sticky, whatever, they'll just go, don't worry, we'll be all right. Even at the Emirates, the atmosphere will be different. Because the fans now will believe in the players. Yeah. So if you've got 57,000 fans having anxiety, that goes onto the pitch. That ain't going to happen anymore.
I can't wait for next season.
Let's talk about next season a little bit then. I know this one's only just finished. This is what we like to do as football fans, I guess. We're a team of champions now, so people will want to join us, Clarke. People wanted to join us anyway, but like even more so now.
Well, any player that's looked at that parade, you talk about the current players being buzzing and thinking, "Wow, what a privilege to be here." Other people would look at that and think, "Oh, wouldn't mind a piece of that." Yeah. And also that there is room, there is headroom, room for growth in attack.
Yeah, go on. Who would you like to see?
Well, no, but like. wouldn't you, if you was an elite forward, that's quite an appealing prospect to go to the biggest club in London and be the difference maker, the one that takes Arsenal to a high level, the one that transforms the reputation of the team. I think they'll be queuing up to sign. I mean, who knows? I know that we have spoken, I think, about Julian Alvarez. I think he's the sort of level of player that we'll be looking to bring in this summer. I quite like the Morgan Rogers links. I think off the left, I think I personally have never really seen him as a brilliant 10. I actually prefer him off the left. I don't mind him off the left. You're not having
Interesting.
I'll tell you the reason why. What? Like Morgan Rogers.
You don't rate him?
No, he's a very good player, right? But he wants to play as a 10, right? Yeah, but, if he plays off the left, the thing he's going to do is he's going to want to come inside, right? Yeah. We need a left winger that hopefully he's left-footed, right? So then the game gets spread even more. But he's got to be... We struggle in 1v... We need someone who's brilliant 1v1.
Tell me as a left-footed left winger.
Well, no, it's not my job. It's their job. No, because our recruitment is unreal, right? So I know it's the other side, but there's a player, Ryan at Bournemouth, who is very good. He's young, but he's very good 1v1s. And when Madueke come on, all the Arsenal fans went, we got a chance here, because that's what he does. I think with Morgan Rogers, he's too similar to Eberechi Eze. I think we need a complete different sort of left winger.
Disagree politely. I just think he's a different type of player. I think he's powerful, and I think he's got real pace to go and stretch teams.
Yeah, but 1v1s in tight areas, that's not his. That's not his game.
Not in tight areas, but he can explode past players in the way. I've watched a fair bit of Villa, and when I've seen him, he's looked really good. Look, I'm not saying he's the only target, but I could see why we're being linked with him. Left winger, a striker. I think another central midfielder and a right back, and I think we saw it.
We've got your YouTube title there, Heated Debate. Morgan Rogers. Yeah. I mean, good player. But I think actually it's funny, that final, I also wasn't that keen on the Rogers links at first. I thought, very good player, I'm not sure the fit. And then watching that final, I thought we could do some power and drive and carry.
You see that plan against?
And some X.
What's that, sorry?
You see the level that
you mean the Arsenal final?
What's that, sorry?
Do you mean you were watching
the
Arsenal
Villa
final?
No?
No, sorry, the Arsenal...
PSG.
The PSG. I thought we could do with some drive and carry, but then actually we're trying to evolve from that football. Basically, also, how many Vitinhas and Neveses and players like that are there? I mean, obviously that's different, a different player, but we need that kind of player too. I've never heard Arteta and Josh Kroenke speak quite this... Especially directly about what they want to do in the window. We know the level. We want to be more. We want the individual level that PSG have.
We've got better to do.
Quite on the nose, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was striking, and as was Josh Kroenke on the bus.
Yeah.
No
banging the side of the bus.
No one was celebrating harder than him. So look, he's going to go to his dad and say, look, come on, Dad.
Get your wallet out.
Like we want to get to PSG's
There's
level.
no doubt.
This is what we need.
There's no doubt. There's going to be 4 or 5 that go out because the levels now is the 3 players in the areas we all agree that we need. We're not talking about squad players now. We're talking about players that are first 11 players.
Yeah.
So you've got to be virtually going on world class now. That's the level that we're at. So even if like Barcola, he's getting the ump at PSG, and you go, they're the players that you've got to be in for. And
there's been paper talk about him, though, isn't there?
I'd take him in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I think
that's what we need.
Yeah, that Barcola probably I would have over Rodgers.
There you go. He's coming on the winger side.
Just needs to learn how to score them chances.
Yeah, but look, there are only so many world-class players in each position, and Morgan Rogers isn't world-class, but I think he has a lot of potential. But we'll see. We'll see. I trust Arteta. I trust Berta to get it right. Last year was all about squad depth. All of those players, even though they didn't start in the final, all contributed massively during the course of the campaign. And now it's about adding the stardust, and I believe we will.
Yeah. Perry, you mentioned outgoings, and this is something we can all talk about. Who do you expect to leave? Because there'll be some... We're at a point now where there's going to be some painful departures in terms of players that we like.
Mm-hmm. Ruthless. I'll tell it to be ruthless. He'll say it's nothing personal. So Nwaneri, I think obviously because he's come through the academy system, it's pure profit.
He was on the bus yesterday.
Nwaneri is like Emil Smith-Rowe, like a very, very good player, but not the level that you need to kick on. Probably Norgard, I'd have thought, because he's done his job. He has, been really good. Martinelli, I know obviously Arteta trusts him, so I think that he might be gone. Ben White, I think it'll be up to, obviously he's injured, but I think it'll be up to him whether he wants to go or not, because I think Arteta rates him, but it's whether he can stay fit enough. And when he comes up, the level, when Ben White's proper Ben White, the drop-off for Timber to him isn't that much. So again, it'll be down to his fitness. I wouldn't be surprised. I think... Jesus will definitely be gone. And I wouldn't be surprised. I think the drop-off from Raya, and it's going to be very difficult, to Kepa is too big.
Kepa can go play first team football.
So, yeah, but I know, but I think they might even be looking for like a number 2 goalkeeper.
100%.
Yeah, it's an awkward one, isn't it? Because you're just praying that the first choice doesn't get injured. I would play Raya in every game, because I want to win everything, you know, and I don't think he would mind playing every game. But you've got to have an able backup, haven't you? And Kepa is very able, but sure, I think he would probably want to go, wouldn't he? I would have thought.
Yeah, he want to play exactly, and then you just look at. Would you take Aaron Ramsdale back?
As
a number 2, as a tester.
Yeah, 100%. I would. 100% I would. Yeah, if he's on the bench anyway, why not?
We're getting yes, no.
No, bygones be bygones. Thank you for the memories, man.
No, he gets the club. Yeah, 100. I would.
Yeah.
The outgoings are fascinating because a lot of the names mentioned we kind of expect, but I do fear there might be 1 or 2 we have to swallow we don't like.
Go on.
Well, actually, the Waneri one isn't... I wouldn't want to do that. I still just want to see another year of him.
He's not the level. Honestly, he's not the level.
If we loan him out and he does well in the way, he might make more money.
Look at Waneri, Max Dowman. Seriously, Max Dowman.
Are we sure
is better than Waneri?
Are we sure
Waneri's thing is there's just not a pathway at the moment.
So who do you play if you think he's going to push? Is he pushing Eze? No. Is he pushing Odegaard? No. I said Max Dowman is going to be used miles more next season.
I would like to see an evolution of our midfield that could get more Waneri with Odegaard, Waneri with Eze or whatever. But it does feel like a stacked position, especially if we're looking at Morgan Rogers.
There is one player that is a senior player that could go, which would be a massive story, but it might help the team go forward.
You've got us. Come on.
It's Martin Odegaard.
Breaking news! Clarke wants Odegaard out.
I don't want him out. I love him as a player, but I do. I can see a future where he might move on, and then we bring someone else into that position. I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility.
No,
if we have to sacrifice someone, you know, very, very strong,
2 years left as well.
I think that look, it's not beyond the realms of possibility.
I think we've got a ready-made captain as well.
He'll have one. It might
one
be
more season.
It might be end of this season.
Declan Rice is gonna be the captain of Arsenal Football Club at some point. In my opinion, it's just when that happens. Right, we're running out of time fast, so I wanted to finish just on a positive really, and go back to the parade. It was incredible scenes. Do you think and hope, Perry, that we'll see more scenes like that in North London over the coming years?
Yeah, I said, I think about 4 or 5 years ago, when obviously Man City were at their prime, and dynasties, football's cyclical, and you have these dynasties, and I said that we had to, what Arteta was building us up for, we had to be the next cab on the rank. You know, when that dynasty is going, and I think Man City, their dynasty is gone, right? And we are the next cab on the rank. Now what we've got to do is, and I think Arteta has to say, Pep Guardiola is incredible, and the drive to keep going, and winning Premier League titles. But we'll see what he'll do. The team will evolve, and every season now, there will be 5 or 6 out, 3 new ones come in with the level, because they have the hunger to drive you on. And now, because of all the work that they've put in, this is a time now to grab... These players are legends now, right? Because they've won their Premier League title. They're to be talked in the same as all our past seasons. Now they're thinking, do you know what? We could go on and we could be I've said it before, the greatest team that Arsenal ever had. But you have to do that over a 4 or 5 year period. Beginning of the season, and we all know now, is obviously 4 trophies. Arsenal have to win, which we've done, either the Premier League or the Champions League. That is it. And the press is off because we've won the Premier League, but then it's you have to drive yourself on and drive yourself. And these players, trust me, and Declan Rice had said it himself, they will be so hungry. When you've got that feel, it's like an adrenaline. It's like a drug that you get. You go, I want more of that. I want more of that. So I'm not saying we're going to completely dominate, but it could be that you win 2 of the next 3 or 3 of the next 4. Do you know what I mean? That's what they have to aspire to do.
Yeah.
Hope so.
No, I agree with all that. And you know what? I was actually, the talk of eras and dynasties, I thought, we've just won a Premier League, let's see. And actually, I feel more bullish about it after the Champions League final. Some of the rhetoric around Arsenal, some of the media coverage, some of the things people are saying. And I just thought, yeah, no, we're gonna. This is our time. Yeah.
We're
Come on, let's have
retaining
it.
we're retaining the
Let's
Premier
have
League.
it. You know what you were saying about that adrenaline, that you want it again? I feel that. I'm like, let's go next season. Let's have it. And I thought after 63 games I'd want a break, but I don't. Let's go.
Ready to jump straight back in again.
That Gooner grin ain't going out. All the neutrals, you get used to that. Gooner grin ain't going.
All
It's
glowing.
going nowhere.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is all we've got time for on today's Inside Gooners. Thank you for your company as always, and thank you to my amazing guests, to Perry Groves, to Adrian Clarke, Deluded Gooner, and to James Bayliss. Remember, this show is sponsored by BetMGM. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app 18+ begambleaware.org. And come on, you Arsenal!
We are the champions.
Champions are in.
We